Welcome back to our program, 50 Years of Questions, the JFK Assassination. I'm Bill Hemmer. The year was 1963, and the era of the modern crime lab we see today on CSI, it was still decades away. But new computer technology can challenge how a rifle bullet like this became the single bullet conclusion back then.
There is still some question tonight whether Mr. Kennedy was struck by one or two bullets. This is the gun that fired the shots.
It's a bolt-action rifle. Shoots a very unusual cartridge that was basically unknown in 1963.
Luke Haig, a forensic firearms expert, believes Oswald acted alone and supports the Warren Commission's single bullet theory.
Oswald put a bullet through Kennedy that went on to hit Connally. It did exactly what a military bullet's supposed to do. It got two for one shot.
Unlike 50 years ago, Haig relies on high-tech tools like Doppler radar to test his shooting reconstructions.
It's microwave radiation. It follows the bullet right through the object and out the other side. The FBI didn't have the ammo. They didn't have one of the guns. The wound ballistics lab had never fired it in a tissue simulant. They shot animals. They shot meat. They shot gelatin. Does that bullet have enough energy and velocity to make it all the way through Governor Connally? Some can't believe that.
One man who did was investigator Arlen Specter. He created the controversial single bullet theory,
which is admittedly an extraordinary path for a bullet.
His theory explained how one bullet created 7 wounds in 2 men and broke 2 of John Connally's bones.
President Kennedy was hit in the back of the neck, sliced his trachea, exited, nixed his thigh. The bullet entered slightly to the left of the governor's right armpit. It exited from his chest, leaving a 4-inch hole under his right nipple, went through his wrist and lodged in his thigh. Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction.
But in 50 years, our ability to enhance visual images has gotten better.
With the new digitized version of the Zapruder film, quality is such that you can see reactions and positions and facial expressions that really indicate that there are questions about the single bullet theory. Governor Connally believed that he was hit by a single separate shot and not as a shot attributable to the single bullet theory.
I looked in the back seat, the president had slumped. Almost simultaneously, as I turned, I was hit.
If you look at the trajectory, there's no way that that bullet would have struck Governor Connally behind the right armpit.
Dr. Cyril Wecht has been challenging that single bullet theory for more than 40 years.
It's a bullet that does anything for you that you need. It is better than any bullet in a comic book.
The commission did extensive testing with a car in Dealey Plaza.
I think it's important to be as realistic as we can. They'll use a different car than the limousine in question, or not even the same model.
Because Kennedy's car was unavailable, the Secret Service car was used, but both rows of seats were a different height. The stand-in for the president was measured 10 inches higher when measured off the street. The commission tried to make allowances for the different dimensions, and the single bullet theory was born.
This is Zapruder 204. This is where I say the first shot occurred.
We investigated John Orr's gunshot analysis against our own 3D animation, based on the enhanced version of the Zapruder film. We invited Dr. Wecht to evaluate it.
This is the second shot at Z236, and again we have used the actual Zapruder frame and morphed the animation rendering into that so that we've ensured accuracy. It exactly matches the positions of the body.
This is not a restructuring, photographically speaking, in order to make things fit. And that's what the Warren Commission defenders, sycophants like to do, is they move Connally over to his left.
To get that left, the right armpit lined up.
That bullet, indeed, would have continued on, missing John Connally, and could well have been a bullet then that went on to strike the windshield in the car.
Given that Oswald in his window in the 6th floor was at all times to the right rear of the limousine, is there any way that Oswald could have fired this fatal headshot?
With the president's head in the position, there's no way that that headshot could have been fired by Oswald.
So the animator actually set up the limousine and the body positions, matched them against the Zapruder film, and it led to this spot in the roof of the County Records Building Annex. And if you were going to fire a shot to mimic Oswald's angle as closely as possible from a different building, this would be the logical place.
The Warren Commission determined only 3 shots were fired, or disagrees.
The 4th shot was a missed shot by Lee Harvey Oswald. It was fired about 3/4 of a second after the fatal headshot.
If I'm to believe you, this has to be incredible coordination.
Not really incredible coordination. You wait for Oswald to fire a couple of shots. You're looking through your telescopic sight as a second shooter. If you don't see the head explode, you fire.
These are hard military bullets. You can see the lead core. That's where the lead fragments come from. And you can see that the copper jacket goes completely around the nose of the bullet. An expanding soft point bullet. The lead is exposed. The jacket peels back as soon as it enters tissue or a skull.
The snowflaking pattern seen in the president's brain and the x-rays of the skull raises a serious question, because military ammunition should not begin to disintegrate in that fashion.
I say it was a soft-nosed hunting bullet, which was different from Oswald's bullet.
No, that's not correct.
Michael Bodden, former head of the forensic medical panel for the HSCA, disagrees.
Whether it's soft-nosed or hard-nosed, fragments will develop as the bullet strikes a hard bone, the skull, and be left behind. That's typical for military ammunition.
But Luke Haig's rifle tests were more revealing.
Military bullets are unique in several respects. It's got to be a bullet that stays intact. Now let's shoot the same bullet weight, 160 grain bullet for the Carcano, but it's a soft point. It's an expanding bullet. Same kind of target, and you'll see something very different. Everything was recorded on the Doppler. It shows 5, 6, 7 fragments going out the other side.